This is More Than Reality podcast, where we dive into all things faith, family, and marriage and share that there is so much more than the reality that you see on the surface. Welcome to More Than Reality with Adam and Danielle Busby.
Hi.
How are y'all? This is episode 21.
21?
Of More Than Reality podcast.
21.
21. We made it 21 episodes.
Thanks for listening to 20 episodes. Hopefully you'll listen to this one too. So I feel like I look a little weird today because I don't know if I'm getting like this lip ulcer or if it's just my braces and my teeth moving and my lip. I just feel like I have this huge cut, but I can't find it. So my mouth's like, it's really hurting and I feel like I'm all swollen because the weather's amazing. The weather's like 80 then 20 and it's just killing. It's killing all of us.
All of us? Or you?
Except Mr. Buzz. Buzz Lightyear over here.
You need to cheer up.
I know. I'm like, ugh, today. And the weather's gross.
The weather's gross. Yeah, kids are home from school. They had like a 4-day weekend.
Yeah. So yesterday we had a lot of fun. We had just a ton of kids over here yesterday. We had the Quint's friend, one of their friends, and then their siblings came over. So we had a fun full house for the day. And then we invited some other friends over with their 4 kids. And we just had, I told Adam on Friday, start that pool warmer because we're going to be home for 4 days. They're going to need to go in that pool.
Yeah.
So they've been swimming in and out, which has been nice. It just hasn't been really sunny.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been sunny, but at least the pool's warm. And it's been like misty, rainy, so it's like
it's gross.
Like cloudy and like scattered not thunderstorms, it's just rain showers. But so the girls will like go out in the pool, it'll start raining, they'll come in, they'll go back out to the pool. So, yeah. And they've been doing that for the last few days.
Yeah, I know. But we're back on routine this evening.
And I woke up this morning and Parker and Ava. Yeah, Parker and Ava were in the living room. They're like, Daddy, is the pool still warm? I'm like, yeah. They're like, can we go swimming? It was like 7 o'clock in the morning.
Like, can y'all just sleep in for goodness sake?
Sure,
like,
take off.
Just sleep in on a day that you don't have to get up. Jeez, it's so frustrating.
I told him, I was like, well, I'd rather, if I'm paying to have the pool heated, y'all might as well use it.
Yeah.
I'll get a little frustrated if y'all don't swim in it today.
Well, they stayed in a long time yesterday. Yeah. All right, let's rock and roll with these cards.
Okay, we got these Connect cards from Beating 50%. Boop.
Wait, am I reading that for you? I read yours first this time. Is that how it works? You pick for me.
You're going to see if you want to answer that.
Just go ahead. I didn't see it.
All right.
Just go ahead and read that one to me. So we do this every episode where we pick a card and we ask each other the question, but we both don't answer the question. So,
and if you're watching on YouTube, we actually kind of changed
new
the
setup.
Arrangement of our furniture a little bit.
New little setup.
We moved the table ahead of the chairs, so we have like a little.
I feel like I'm like using my iPad or like laptop or whatever, and it's hard to like not have it in the screen. I'm like, Adam said he was going to move things around. I'm like, sweet. Now I can just like literally have it where I can see it.
We still need to figure out everything back here, but
I know I'm getting that sign made, but yeah, it's on the list. It's on the list.
Maybe we should ask for user submissions.
No, I know what I want back there.
No, I'm talking about a design.
Oh. So
okay.
What's my question?
So what is something you appreciate about me, but don't tell me enough?
Oh, everything. I literally was talking about this yesterday that like I am not good at being
positive affirmation.
I'm not good at like giving or giving appreciation like across the board, not just specifically you, but there's a lot of things that I'm just bad at it in general. And I'm trying to like make myself be more because I don't need things like that, it's hard for me to be like, that's so dumb. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
that
when you
goes
say
that goes to like
love languages
What,
and
yeah,
stuff.
what's your love language? Like you tend to show love and or appreciation or whatever in the way that you like to receive it.
Yeah. But you have to do the opposite almost for.
No, it just depends on what the other person's language is.
But I'm saying I would say most marriages probably have opposite love languages.
Yeah. I mean, I would say probably 80 to 90% of men is
Let's
probably
see.
like physical touch and words of
Oh,
affirmation.
yeah, for sure.
There's those few outliers, but I guarantee most men are physical touch and words of affirmation. Just because, I mean, men in general are physical beings, right?
So I'm appreciative that you're a man. And what'd you just say? You said I just kind of went not where I was planning for it to go. I feel like I can't talk because my mouth hurts so bad
You're
right now.
appreciative that I'm a man.
I was going to finish the statement, but then I forgot what you said.
Thanks for setting the bar low.
What do you mean?
I mean, that's like
I'm confused right now. Okay. Should we just go into the next card?
like, thank you, babe, for being a girl. I mean, like, that's kind of.
That's not what I was gonna say. It just stopped right there because I looked at you and
such
then
a girl.
actually, okay. I am very appreciative for a lot of things that you do, but I'm just not very good at it.
But you never answered the question, actually.
That's what I'm doing right now. Like literally, I feel like I'm spitting as I talk because I can't talk today. And you did put that green light right there.
Yeah, I'll shine a little green light on the plant behind us.
I mean, there's things that like I know that I'm very fortunate to have you in, you know, the life that we live and being able to share so much like responsibility of things like when it comes to kids and stuff like, you know, we've gone through seasons of like, we need extra help with other things. But one thing that we always wanted to be was like attentive with the kids. And that meant like, I don't want somebody else to constantly run them around town in sports. Like we want to be those parents and be in the car moments because car moments are usually like a lot of screaming and fighting, or they're amazing conversations that you can have like in a small, you know, proximity with the kids. But I'm thankful that like you get to do that too. Like I have a husband that gets to be dad.
Not gets to, wants to.
But you get to because of our jobs.
Yeah.
You changed career paths and this wasn't a life that you got to do.
But it would be so much different. And that's probably what sets the bar and sets a differentiation between men is because there's just some dads that don't give a crap and they don't really care to do that kind of stuff. They just kind of do it either because they have to, because there's no other option, or I mean they're just like not inattentive.
Yeah.
But like actually like want to and enjoy doing stuff like that.
Yeah. But I mean, you cook a lot more. Like it's almost like, do I have to say it every time?
I mean, physical touch is cool.
That's just a lot, Adam. That's a lot. But I mean, it's just hard because like I could care less if like I don't know. Anyways, I am very appreciative for a lot of things you do. And one big one is the fact that like you are cooking more and more, you know, especially over the last year, 2 years, like that is just like a burden that like I just don't enjoy it anymore. And you seem to enjoy it, and it's way more than I do. But it's like that. Like you cook better than I do. And I feel like it's just another task that I have to do, but like you're capable and more capable of doing it. And so thank you for cooking for us more so than ever.
You're welcome, babe.
High five.
No.
I was going to say, I touched you.
That's why I said no. That doesn't count. All right.
I'm going to rub your arm anyway. Okay. No. I'll pick one.
I fan him out.
Fan them out. Wait, I lost my notes.
So this week, what was it? Blake had tennis tryouts
Oh Lord.
to make the 8th grade team at school, and she made it.
Yeah,
So
so we were
this
big
is her
time
second year in a
celebrating.
row, like in middle school. She made the team for 7th and 8th grade. Yeah, super cool just to see her excelling and doing well, and she absolutely loves tennis. And so just to see the excitement on her face whenever like she made the team.
Yeah, and I mean,
She
I
was- I
felt
mean,
like she knew she was
She
going to.
kind of downplays herself and like, or she tries to not. I don't know. She tries to downplay like how much she like wants to do it
because
like,
she doesn't want to be more
she
upset.
tries
if she
to
doesn't
like
make it.
like kind of lower expectations.
But this is a great This is a great thing because we're kind of talking about things like that today, about like having a goal and or a failure, and what did that do to your growth? And so like just thinking about like how we like push our kids to in a healthy boundary of like, no, go ahead and try this, try out, because you can't always be perfect and make every single thing in life. That's just not that's like not the world. And maybe you're good at certain things now, but what I want you to do is I want you to try out, and I don't want you to make it in certain things because I want a life lesson for you to learn. Like, what is that? How does that make you feel? Does that make you fear for next time to try out? Like,
yeah, I mean,
so there's a lot of lessons that you can learn.
You want your kids to not try because with the assumption that they might fail. Like you want them to like try and work through that adversity. And, if they fail, they fail because, I mean, it's like a life lesson. Like, now you know what to do to get better. And now you know where you are and like how do you react to that? How do you work through that? Because, I mean, there's a lot of kids out there that just like, they won't try because in the either expectation or the fear that they're not going to make it or they're not going to do well. And so they just won't put themselves out there. I feel like that's one thing that we've done well at is just like letting our kids, like just putting them out there and like, let's see how you do. And, work through that and talk with them through that, good or bad. It kind of keeps your kids grounded for one thing, but.
You ready for your question?
Here we go.
What do I do outside the bedroom that turns you on?
I feel like we've had this before.
I don't remember.
What do you do outside the bedroom that what?
Turns you on.
Turns me on. I mean, everything. Just you just existing, babe. I mean, you.
Blech. That's like.
Just like walking.
Oh, I do remember talking about this because I was like, okay, I just threw up in my mouth, like, hey, beautiful. Because you said the same thing, everything. Like, that's not true.
I feel like I've answered this question in like a
Tell me
certain
again.
way before.
Tell me again. And then we'll compare it.
No, like whenever we're like walking from place to place, if like you not necessarily like walk up to me and like grab my hand.
Yeah, you said grab your arm.
Like you'll like reach over and like you'll grab my arm like around here.
You need another
you'll,
card because you already answered that. You said that you already answered it. How do you mix these cards up?
I swear, like every card that we've done, we've kind of discarded and put to the side.
These are all that are left. There's more in that box.
No, there's more in the box.
Oh, then pick some from the box.
No, like we have those.
And I just pulled from it. And then I feel like you've already done these.
Maybe that's the discard pile.
What do you hope people's first impression of you is?
Okay, so one thing that I get a lot.
Not what you get. What do you hope they get?
No, but because of the way that people like are introduced to me a lot of times. I mean that I'm nice and like warm and friendly. But I don't know, because like I mean that just goes along with the territory of we have a large following. We've been on TV, and so in a sense, like every new room that I enter, like I'm typically like scanning the room and like looking for the look of like people that like recognize you or like staring or like we know the look that people will give like if they like recognize us and stuff. And so usually like a new room that I walk into, like I'm kind of like just scanning the crowd. And so I don't know, like I'm usually a little bit more standoffish until like I'm comfortable, just because I don't know like what people's intentions are. So I usually like kind of like withdraw a little bit. I used to be a lot more outgoing until like we've been on TV. I would hope that
So you would
people
say
would
that
see me as being like warm and inviting and nice. Because sometimes I don't always come off that way because like I'm kind of like scanning the room and like worrying about who like recognizes me or
yeah, but
whatever.
you are a lot more social than myself. Like you are way more extrovert in those scenarios of like in public or around people, and I'm like the complete opposite
Yeah.
of that. So I understand what you're saying because I know you, but you definitely, I agree that you could be nice at times, but I'm almost kind of surprised that you do that. This is your answer because you are very like outgoing and social in those parameters. Maybe not. Maybe it's because of times when we're together. This is how I see it because you're definitely more above me when it comes to communicating and socializing with after the look of scanning the room. You know, I'm more like, oh gosh, don't talk to me. But do you want people to like come up to you and like give you a hug? Do you like and like say, hey?
I mean, it depends on if I know them. I don't want just any rando to come up and like, try to hug me. No. Who wants that?
I don't know. Maybe people like to give hugs. I don't know. I was just curious.
Although that has definitely happened before.
I mean, it has happened. I mean, well, a couple times it has happened, but they say, can I give you a hug?
Yeah. And usually if they ask, I'll say yes.
Yeah, you're like, I've been waiting. I was waiting. I was waiting for. Do you remember there was I don't know if we were like Target or the mall or something, but it was like a lady. She kept hugging you.
Yeah, and wouldn't let go.
She hugged you, and she asked, "Can I give you a hug?" And she hugged you, and I'm standing right there, and then she hugged you again, and then she's she's all giddy.
She's like grabbing my arms and like.
I was like, "Watch out, lady."
She's got a handsy.
One too many. But so that was interesting. Next week, I'm going to make sure that we have the cards we didn't go through because I feel like we're not doing a good job at like making sure for repeated questions. But today is going to be today's topic of conversation is. I feel like a little bit more. We've gone through like our story and like testimony and like relationship and all of those kind of times, but I feel like this one is a little bit more on like questions of like reflecting personally. So not so much about like as we are as a family, but like situations in life situations. Cause you know, I feel like we've been through a lot of like numerous life changes from like expanding a family to careers and changes of workplace and working together and quitting jobs and a lot of things that we have faced, you know, because we've been married for almost 20 years, but just how do we adapt to certain situations that we're faced with and what did that do to you personally, like overcoming and like just kind of reflecting on like those type of questions personally. But a lot of things we do are together. So it's a little bit more challenging to kind of like really reflect on like yourself during some of these. And it's hard. I feel like it's hard. We don't really have a lot of, you know, that 4-letter word time to even, you know, have a lot of like focus, self-reflection, I think. And I think it's very important to make time for that. It's just, it's hard. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, it's definitely a must to like go back and analyze interactions or choices that we've made and stuff. I mean, a lot of times you're like, you know, I don't really have any regrets, but you know, would I have done things differently or whatever? But
yeah, I don't like the word regret because I feel like there's always something that you can learn from something.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad. Like I feel like if you can be aware that God is teaching you something through everything. And even in those hard times, it's like one of those things that like I will look into like, okay, God, like what are you telling me? What do I need to learn through this and open my eyes to what you're trying to teach me? Because I know that there's something. And that kind of goes into like one of the questions of like, what is something that you do whenever you're faced with hard times? How do you keep yourself from getting down in the grit, the pit of it all? And the lowness, because we all have it. We all are humans and have emotions and feelings, and we go high and low and high and low and happy and sad. And sometimes, like right now, like I don't like, I kind of wanted to cry today and I don't know why. So that could just be because I'm a woman and I have hormones and they're all changing
And
and
you are
medication
going through
and
some hormone changes and stuff.
but I don't know. Like, so what's like a big challenge that I'm trying to make these questions more like relative to you and I, not us, but like this question of like, what's one of our big challenges that we faced in our journey and how did it affect our personal growth? And I would say one of those big things is infertility, of going through infertility. And I think that we both could say that was a challenging time. But personally, where do we feel like, what did we learn from it? And how did we grow from that?
We don't have, we don't really have control over like God's timing on things. And, and that was like one of those major things of like, you just, as a young, naive married couple, like I don't know, you just like, you go into marriage thinking like, oh yeah, we're married now. Things are going to be awesome. Like, here soon, like we're going to start our family. And, you make these statements of, we're going to start our family. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then whenever you're struck with adversity or heartache or trouble, you don't really know what to do with it, and it affects you. And it's something completely new that you've never dealt with before. You go through all those different levels of grief and, just blaming yourself, blaming your spouse, blaming God, blaming, like all these things through of just blame and struggling with like doubt and all this stuff and anger. For me, like I dealt with it all. Like I struggled with every bit of that. And like, I'd go through days of just being mad, days of just being mad at myself or frustrated with myself, or like even to the point of like sometimes wanting to have a family, can't get pregnant. Like what's wrong with me? What's wrong with Danielle? Are we always going to have these problems? And
you kind of start to deteriorate yourself in a sense because of my experience of it is like that loss of control. And well, if I can't do this and I can't take care of that or do this or make this or whatever, then I'm a failure. And kind of look back what we just said a while ago, like you can't, even if it is a failure, what is the lesson learned? And so as I look back at that time,
how do you respond?
Yeah. How do you respond to that? It's like when I look back at that time during infertility and someone who has always felt the need to be in control myself, and I still struggle with it today. It's one of my biggest flaws is needing to control and still constantly working that battle like out with God. Like I gotta like release, let go. And I've had some good moments and some insightful moments walking through this, but other times where it's still a battle for me to like really let go of control. I think what I learned through that the most was it taught me a big lesson on control. Like no matter what your perfect plan is, there is something bigger and better that you can't see. And I learned that even though I have learned that it's still hard, in today's challenges that we face differently, to remind myself that I saw and I learned what God wanted to teach me through that season. And why do I have such a hard time applying it to today's, hard season or whatnot? Yeah. But that is something that I did learn about how to, it's not bad to plan something. It's not bad to hope and try to structure things, but do know that, things could fall down. Things could not go your way. And I have learned to just be more intentional about, okay, God, I failed, kind of repent through those things. If you're aware of what is something that you could have not done or done differently, and be still in that and be still and allow yourself to be open to someone else guiding you and changing the fact that it didn't go the way that you wanted. And I would say this is a battle in a lot of marriages, control and, abiding under God's control, which is the best planned control. But as someone who needs to have things set in place or want things to go a certain way, even within marriage, it's hard because like I don't want you to tell me XYZ. I want to figure that out myself. I like there's a lot of things that I've had to try to do together. Like we need to be a team because I still feel at times I struggle with needing to feel independent, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's been almost 20 years of marriage and it's every year is different. Life is continuously going, bringing new challenges, and we're constantly having to like renew those strengths that and our weaknesses within each other and allow each other to fulfill that for the other because we are different and we do have different weaknesses and strengths. And when we are doing that, it is really nice and it is really beautiful to see us as a team and work together. And we work pretty well together for a team. It's just a challenge. It's a challenge with whatever else is going on in our heads, I guess. But I think what I learned most was just kind of being okay to let go of the control and trusting that there is a better plan and it will, and in God's timing, it will come to light.
Yeah.
And we walked that and we saw that. But as a human, I still struggle with the fact that it is still hard to not have some form of control, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you get caught up in, all these like superficial prayers of like, God, please give me this, or God, please do this, please do this. And instead of like truly like just like meditating and listening, trying to ponder like what God has for you, what God wants for you.
And pour out gratitude to him.
Yeah, we're so quick to just like ask for things, which God wants us to ask for things. Sometimes he just wants you to sit still and just like ponder and rest and just be there and just be in his presence. And I think that was like through that season of like infertility and stuff. And yeah, I mean, there was times that I was just like angry and like mad at God and mad and like just like why asking so many like why me, why this situation and stuff. But you kind of like work through that, and God wants us. I mean, he wants to equip us through these situations, and we came out of it better because of it. But it's just that question of like, did God do this? Did God? I don't know. Like my thought is like, a lot of bad things. Whenever people are like, well, why does bad things happen to good people? But, we live in a sinful world that, God allows things to happen, but God's not actively doing and like things against you to hurt you. Like God wants what's best for us. God is for us. God is a God of love.
But we still, as humans who sin, have a choice of right versus wrong. And our sin patterns take over a lot of the time. And therefore, bad things could happen. And a lot of these things are human created. And when things come to light and the bad thing happens, there's no one else to blame. It's like that's when people want to start pulling in God and blaming God for all of this stuff. And I'm not going to say that I didn't do the same thing when I've gone through those things, but I think I've matured in a way to say my why God, the fear of all those, nothing's my fault. And I'm not saying anything I'd done was my fault, but I learned to say it's not so much about why did you do this, God? It's what do I need to do through this?
Yeah.
And how I need to...
What did I learn through the process? How did you refine me through that process to make me the person that you needed me to be in order to like, I mean, because there's over and over, like whenever I was younger, heard this like analogy of, those, I think it's called like cross stitch, where you have like the piece of fabric and then you have like all the different colors. And then you like push up the colors through there and you end up making like this like tapestry or whatever, like this beautiful image. But it's beautiful like looking down. And so like God, he's like looking down on us and he's like creating this beautiful image of like life and he's doing all these things and orchestrating these things. But from us, like our view of it, you think of like, we have we're like children, and like we don't understand so much. And, there's a lot of things that we're not going to understand on this side of heaven. One day we'll be in heaven one day, and like we'll be able to ask and we'll understand, like, oh, this is why I had to go through that. Or going back to this analogy of this like cross stitch pattern, like God's looking down and he sees this beautiful image, but like we look up and it's just like ugly and chaotic. It doesn't make sense. Like looking down, like from the bottom of it, like it's just like all these like threads hanging, and like knots, and like stuff's crossed over here and going there. And like it doesn't make sense to us. Like life does not make sense to us. Like so many things that happen to us in life don't make sense from what God sees. Like, he knows where everything connects, and he knows like how things are working. Like, this is happening because of this, and like, and I'm preparing you for this to happen later on in life, or whatever. And like he sees the beautiful picture of our life in the thick of it. Like we just don't get it. We don't understand. Like we get angry and we look up and like it's chaotic, and we don't. That's why like we just need to abide in him, like just trust and have faith in him that God is for us and he wants what's best for us. And God isn't doing things to harm us, specifically. And so just like, it's all about just like understanding that like God's not doing things to hurt me. God wouldn't do that.
So let's talk about friendships and family. Who has influenced our growth? Anybody in our families or friends, or anybody in our circle or colleagues? Anybody who is there someone that you could say has taught you an important lesson? And then it kind of goes the opposite way too. Do we agree with the fact that like sometimes friendships and relationships have to end for like health boundaries and sanity for ourselves? Sounds wrong. But just like being okay with like stepping away from some type of relationship, whether it's, a friendship or someone in your family. Do we agree that during difficult situations, sometimes there's space that's needed?
Yeah. I mean, if it falls into like an unhealthy situation, and like, we definitely have to set boundaries. I mean, there's definitely like relationships, friendship wise, family wise in our life that like we've had to distance ourselves from, and set boundaries just for like our own like health and well-being, like the just mental stability of like our home and our children and stuff. And so
yeah, I mean, I definitely think that I have a very close knit circle of friends best friends. Like we're all different, but we all learn from each other because we have crossed this level of like trust, and we all have a heart for Jesus. And so that kind of connects us, and we know we have like a safe circle of like being able to learn from each other and discuss openly about maybe a struggle or a topic or whatnot. And though we're not exactly the same, we always can pull each other back around to like, dude, I know what you want to hear, but this is what you need to hear. And this is what God says about you or this situation. And so definitely learned from like a lot of friends and a lot of people. I love being able to look up to the older generation for like wisdom. And I don't think that I would have always said that. Even if we say to our kids, like, because I know, like I've experienced that when I was in middle school or when I was in fourth grade. I was there. I experienced it. Yes, life's different, but I've gone through similar things. Like, and we all can look back at our kids and have life lessons that we can teach them from. And so as we are adults, it's sometimes hard to remember that we too can also look up to, whether your parents are in your life or like older, wiser people. There's people that have been put in our life that are 20, 30 years older than us that I feel like are so impactful to my life, and can bring wisdom and insight and in situations that don't seem relevant to them. And I remember one of my first women's group back from like I started back up after having the quints. There was this lady in there, and this was the group I loved to learn with different mix of ages. So not everybody was in the same life pattern of like married and kids young and whatever. It was like ages. It was like, someone's in college and someone is a great grandma. It was like, it was such an amazing group because it was like you could seek wisdom from the older in the group, but also provide wisdom to the people who were in the thick of engaged or just got married. And so it's like, I loved that. And so I do think it's healthy boundaries of having to close some doors when it comes to certain relationships, even the hard ones. I'm going to take the topic of marriage out of this form of relationship because I feel like marriage is set apart from this conversation, because closing doors and stuff is not what I believe for marriages, because God created marriage to be good for man and wife. And when you get married, you're in unity, one under God. And so that's a different conversation, but I'm talking about relationships with friends or peers or colleagues or kids, parents, friends, or like whatever, just not specifically the marriage. I do believe that there's always a time where you might have to close a door with a friendship or a relative or something that's just unhealthy. And I experienced this one-on-one, with just, I think my family took in that choice whenever they decided that it wasn't best for us to have the father figure in our life, and for whatever reason that was, it was their healthy boundary and choice that they chose. And I do agree that that was probably the best decision that they could have made for knowing for what I know, even as an adult, like walking through the ups and downs, like with challenges like with my own mom and like having to put boundaries up. We need to change. I've got to cut ties in this level, as I can reflect back on that and seeing what dynamic of like family growth within our little Busby 8 circle, what changes it's brought, and also healing in certain ways that we're having to walk through. But I do agree that there's times of relationships. Sometimes you have to be aware and be told that that is not a healthy relationship or this is not healthy for you. And I mean, we're raising 6 girls. Like the boy phase is approaching and is here, and it's teaching them to know their worth and value themselves under God's eyes and knowing that they're more than what their peers may say of them, right?
Yeah.
Or what they might think they should be. And this is going to be a challenge.
Yeah.
We're newly stepping into this. And so it's just nothing more than I want is for our girls to grow up knowing Jesus, but also knowing who they are in Christ and knowing in their heart how much they are truly loved by him, but by us. And there's nothing that
and just have confidence in that.
And that's what I'm saying, like the confidence in that. Like I didn't grow up with that. I didn't find that till like my late 20s,
Yeah.
And so feeling independent was a self of security of like, no one can hurt me because I did this. I'm making the choice. I have the control. And this is things that I'm talking about, and I still struggle with some of this today, but I feel like raising daughters, it's helping me try to overcome. How do I need to teach this? How do I need to show this, voice this, pray this? So many things that are personal struggles. Now having to teach through that it's hard. It's hard because you're like, wait, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what to do here.
I mean, so many things of just being a parent, like you get into this new situation and it reminds you just how little you are ready for certain situations and like how like unequipped you really are. I think I heard from somewhere, I forget, there was like some sort of study or whatever done. And, like as a parent, you go through all these situations and stuff with your kids and stuff. And you're like, man, like, I just don't feel like I'm
getting anywhere.
Yeah. But, and then they look at like later on in life and, kind of evaluate that stuff. And like, honestly, like a parent, you could have done the right thing. I think it's like less than 40% of the time. And still you're making a positive difference in your child just by being present. And so just like being there for them and showing them that they're valued and they're loved, who they are. reiterating that, and it just builds confidence in your kid.
Yeah, good. Do you feel like you're like have any type of influence that you learned from others that helps like your growth, personal growth? And I also too like listen and follow biblical teachers that bring a lot of wisdom and help with personal growth. But do you have anybody that helps that you feel helps you?
I mean, I have a lot of friends, and like I've, gone through groups and stuff of like other guys that are like good influences and have like excelled in certain fields that like I'm in, and just developing close friendships with them so that, you can just bounce stuff off of them. They've been there before. They've been through the situations that you've been through. And, I mean, I have like a lot of different guys that I'll lean to for whatever other things, and it's all for like different things. I mean, there's guys that, I look up to like strictly as like a like father figure and like a parent, and how they're raising their kids and stuff. I mean, and you just like you want to model your life, your parenting style after them, and you just ask a lot of questions through the process.
So if we could look back, like when we were a kid, what would we give? What advice would we tell ourselves? What advice do you have if you were struggling with something? What advice would you give yourself? I mean, mom would be like, girl, don't be so hard. Like I was just I wouldn't say like standoffish or shut down, but it just was, I guess I just felt like I always saw people before they even made any form of like an effort to even see me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I could see that's BS or that's a lie, or don't be fake with me. Like I had zero patience for any of that. And so I always became I think I became a little bit, might still be a little bit like that, but I don't know. I think I wish I would have allowed myself to be more emotionally aware
of like relationships and like,
yeah. And I think just like in any aspect of like, what are emotions and how do they affect you in these scenarios? Because as someone who is independent or, growing up in the way that I did, precautionary to a lot of situations, you kind of tend to just want to put that wall up. As I get older and I look back, I'm like, man, and I think that's why everybody, when we get to like our mid-age life of 40s, you got to start therapy in some aspect, because there's things that you're now probably have kids that could be walking through seasons that trigger you to when you were that age, to then you're like, what do I do about this? But wow, it would have been nice if I would have been able to talk through that or help with that, or someone tell me something, or I could have been like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or hey, what is this about? Or why do I feel this way? Expression of,
yeah. I mean, I feel like, just me
person to person, like in a dynamic where it's not today's world of social media,
Yeah. I mean, just me, like as a younger kid, like I feel like what I would probably go back and tell myself as a younger Adam is, I mean, there were so many things that like I valued that didn't mean anything.
Oh yeah,
things that like you pursue, things that you care about so much as a younger person that, you look back on in life and like, none of that stuff mattered. Like none of those, I mean, even just, especially in like high school years, you get caught up so much, guys like just chasing after a girl or doing all this stuff or worrying so much about
appearances
or friendships and stuff like that. And like,
yeah.
You look back in high school years and like none of that mattered. None of that. Like, I don't see those people anymore. All the stuff that you cared so much about, it's no effect on you like later in life. And
yeah. Which is hard because I feel like there's still a lot of people who live that way still.
We were just having this conversation not long ago, I think with Blake, about just like stuff in like middle school, just like
it's so important right now.
It's just the things that kids care about so much. It's
just false identity in things, right?
Yeah. Like social media and like what people think about everything. and you're just trying to like impress on them like none of that stuff's gonna matter in 4 years. Like all the stuff that you worry about so much in high school is not gonna matter at all to you. Like once you get into college and beyond, but it's hard to tell, a teenager that, because I mean
They're so in
that
it.
is their world right
Yeah.
now, and it doesn't matter.
You know
It
what's so
doesn't
funny
matter.
is that I remember didn't grow up with money, and so it's like I remember being like, oh my gosh, if I could only have a cool pair of tennis shoes, or if I could only have a brand of that. Always feeling like an outcast because I never had those things. Here we are today, been adults, you got careers set, like all these things financially. Like if you want something, okay, we'll make means work to get whatever, and but I think about it now, and why should I go spend money on that? Why would I go spend money on that? Now, don't get me wrong. Like, there are certain things that I like because of the quality or blah, 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 blah. But how much, if I were to tell Blake, hey, let's go get some new leggings, she's going to say, oh, let's go to Lululemon, right? And I'd be like, girl, let's go shop at Target first. They might have, or let's go hit up Marshall's. Oh my God, Mom, I hate Marshall's. Well, that's my favorite store, And it's just a different world. Like, this doesn't mean that I don't have anything Lululemon, but there is a difference of, I don't want our kids to grow up in a world because we can give them something that they, one, deserve it, or that they expect it. And it's really that expecting. I don't want you to expect to have the nice things.
Yeah.
It's like a boundary of like, how do I gift you something or want to give this to you, but I don't want you to expect it, because still to this day, I don't expect nice things. I don't expect nice things. And there comes a time or a way where I want nice things and I want this nice thing, but is it really make the best sense to get that right now? Or it's really interesting to watch as we went through that, but now we have kids who are growing up in that age and being like, oh, well, I want that because that's blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no, no, it's ridiculous.
I mean, I feel like I have so many of those conversations all the time with the girls because they just like have no concept of like how much things cost.
Yeah.
And they'll be with their friends and they're all like game planning, like going and doing something.
Oh, let's talk
whatever.
about that. Let's talk about that little sad story of, so for years, Blake being the oldest and a single child, I would say ever since probably like 5th grade, the moms of her age friends and moms have always done before school starts and after school ends, like a mom and daughter type thing. And occasionally us daughters of Blake, like my daughter Blake, and then the moms of that group will get together and like do dinner or whatever. Well, the Quints, this was the first time a couple weeks ago, it was the Quints and their group of friends, and there's like about 12 of them, including the Quints, planning their friends and the moms to go hang out. They wanted the moms to hang out and the friends to hang out, like go somewhere and do dinner. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's put it on the calendar. It's going to be so fun. This is awesome. This is what I do with Blake. Like, this is fun. We're at that age now. Y'all can like hang out and y'all can sit at this table and the moms can sit at this table. And anyways, they just end up running around the place we were at. The stories of what was leading up to the day of we're going to get pizza.
All of the things
why don't you
that
tell
the
them
girls,
what
all of the things that the
home.
girls had planned, not once conversed with like a parent.
No, not
of like,
any
what
of
can
them.
we do? It's just like they're just making plans like on their own and dreaming like all this stuff of what this night's gonna be. And I think even like the morning of or like the day before, like the girls are like, yeah, we're gonna go buy. We're all buying white dresses. And
So like I was like, we're not going shopping to go get pizza. No, Mom. We all need to go get white dresses because we're going to go to Perry's, which is a steakhouse here.
yeah.
And this is what even funnier story is like, we're going to go to Perry's, but we're going to take the boat. We're going to rent a boat and take a boat there.
First of all, Perry's isn't on the water.
Perry's is a steakhouse.
And
we're not going to a steakhouse. No, Mom, Pier 6. Like, that one you can take a boat. No one's taking a boat.
Like, first of all, like nobody in this group has a boat.
Yeah.
So there's the problem.
Who's
there.
driving the boat? Well, you moms can drive the boat.
And so they just think like, oh, this random night, they can't just accept, oh, let's just go have fun and enjoy our friends.
Which is
and just
what the whole
enjoy
point
the
was.
company with your friends. Like they have to make this big grand thing, going and buying dress. I was like, girls, and I sat them all down. I started listening at all the things that they were wanting to do, just to give them a rough idea how much that would cost just for a random like dinner with your friends. Girls, this is an upwards of over $1,000 like of stuff that y'all are planning on doing. I was like, no,
Like, this is a that's a
like,
vacation.
just enjoy the company of your friends, and like we're gonna go have pizza, and like you're gonna have fun. You're gonna have a great time. It doesn't have to be all these things and new dresses and boat rides and like
Yeah, I mean, they definitely, the Quints are definitely, I feel like we're very fortunate and been blessed tremendously in multiple ways. But the Quints do experience a level of social sacrifice, probably way more than their peers.
Yeah.
Because there are 5 of them, right? And so they, you know, the other day, like Parker went with one friend. It was our first time to go with a friend to Leo, like, we're going to go shopping together. And I'm like, that's so fun. So cute. She had her chore money, but I gave her like $20 too, added her to her little green light card. And then the girls find out and they're like, well, you need to give me $20 because you gave us. And it's like, no, it doesn't work that way. Cause now you're taking away from the experience that Parker was going to get to have. If I have to give everybody $20, that's $100. I didn't give her $100. And I'm not giving everybody $20 just to have $20. So it's like this level
you're gonna have your moments like with your friends,
moment.
and just because you're having a moment right now doesn't mean all of your sisters get to have.
It goes with the sleepovers and can I go over to a friend's house? Absolutely, yeah, if it's okay with the parents. And then, well, I want to go. Why didn't I go, guys? Like, so they learn. They're learning things are not as much as they want to be separated and individual. They still group themselves as she goes, I go. It's just interesting. There's a lot of social sacrifice that they have to have, which is it's an interesting world, but that we experience. And this is way off topic of what we're talking about. But going back to just what we were talking about is like our younger selves. Like, what did we tell our younger selves of that? And that is one thing. Like, those things that you're facing right now, they mean so big to you, and we want to help you walk that season. But do know that this is very, very small grain what you're going to face in this world. But also, I don't want to take away the feelings in the moment that they're having with it, but also teach them that this doesn't mean this is nothing. What you're facing and what this drama is about, like, it means nothing. Life is so much grander than this in the moment that you're living in. But it's hard. It's hard to be walking through that as a teenager. And, as we're talking about this, like, I want us to be those parents that can have these conversations openly and teach them to walk with not expectations and what the peers have around them and what they're going through. And I don't have the answers to this. Lord Jesus, help us. And I would say that's the biggest advice of, like, how do we walk this life? 6 girls trying to overcome adversity and growth. And even for our personal selves as being a wife, a mom, a parent, seeking prayer and the word daily. And it's literally one of these practices. What is a practice that you do to help you grow? And to me, that is spending time in the word and having knowledge that precedes what my head can understand. And so that means reading the Bible, having conversations with like-minded people that can help me interpret what does this mean and how do I apply it to life? Because we think we might know everything about a situation or a topic, but really you talk to someone else and you might have different viewpoints. And we have this a lot in our marriage. Like, we might have something to talk about. You see it different, I see it differently, but it's like we have to come to a common ground, or we have to be able to adjust the way that we view or see something that our head doesn't automatically understand or see, right? I would say that God's word is ever teaching, and it's words. It's, what do they say? It's live. These words are living and breathed. My own personal growth and a lot of aspects of trial, of hardness, of hard times and struggles, but even in the positive and the good. Seeking the word helps ground me and take me out of it and be like, okay, like, what can I learn from this? How do I apply this? What does this mean? It's encouraging because I feel like it's something that I continue to grow in. Do you have any daily practices? When I'm like fired up, I just want to like listen to Christian rap.
Christian rap.
My friends make a joke at me for that, and I'm like, I'm mad right now. I just need to blare some Lecrae. I have like 4 or 5 songs that I like, my Christian rap songs.
I mean, my biggest thing is just going to the gym and That's whenever I do my most thinking, or like I'll either 9 times out of 10, whenever I'm at the gym, I'm either like listening to either like some sermon from just like a pastor or whatever that I follow, that I want to catch up on, or a podcast or something like that. And it just helps me kind of just stay grounded and like process thoughts and just process ideas. And probably the other percentage of that, I have headphones in, but I'm just thinking. And I feel like I just need that every day, and typically like my drive home is like just praying on the way home and just like kind of processing, like even just things that I've thought about like while there. I feel like that's just why I value that so much. It's just like I need that time away. And that's like my time to just think. We all need that time.
Yeah, good. I feel like we all need to be mindful to give ourselves and our spouse those times. Sometimes just hearing you say that right now makes me more understanding of that routine for you. Sometimes, okay, go to the gym. It's going to the gym. It's going to be blah, blah, like those schedules. Probably you would say the same thing, like she's going to take a bath tonight. She's going to take a bath tonight. But that is the same thing. It's like we need those moments where we ground ourselves, where we can like be present and talk to God. And maybe music's on in the background. Maybe sometimes it's doing laundry. Maybe it's driving in the car or whatnot. But I mean, hearing you say that what that provides for you daily is great, because I want you to have that. And I want you to make sure that you're getting that every day,
All right. And so if you don't have one of those like daily practices, I would feel like, just start a baby step of working toward what can I do each day that's going to help me, just either process things or grow, or like whether it's like spending time in prayer, spending time reading or whatnot, just something that you can do to, in a sense, like lighten that load, to where, those things that, you say like that affect us and that like cause worry so much in our life, make it a little bit less significant in our life, like where we don't worry about those things so much, where we can kind of like stay grounded, just find that time. I'm not going to say for everyone, just give that advice of you need it. Everybody listening to this podcast needs to spend time in prayer, even though it's a great idea. It just may not be for you, and just may not be for, like where you are in life. And I'm not going to preach to you and say like, no, this is what's definitely going to work for you. But even though I truly believe it will,
yeah.
Find your thing.
Find your thing. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's good. And I think that in my perspective too, what feeds me is being in the Word and having conversations, spiritual conversations, and reading the Bible and like trying to interpret things and like, what does that apply to me? And so just find a super small devotional. Like I actually created a devotional. I have 2 of them actually. I haven't even put them out there yet. Something easy, quick. You can download it, a verse, and like a reflection question. And it's just something super simple that would take you 10, 15 minutes a day to like just quietly give yourself that moment. Do it on the toilet. I don't care. Make a routine and a practice of something that can set you outside of that heavy weight of what are you going through. We don't want to preach to you, but we also want to tell you like, this is what is so insightful and helpful and grounds us is our faith. And whether it's at the gym, in the car, in the bathtub, reading the Bible, like there's multiple ways that we feel fulfilled in the Word. And so I just think that if you are interested in a quick little devotional, I do have one that you could download, and website I've been working on and stuff too. So shout out to my little website I've been working on. I'm getting hot, but yeah,
We'll have
I'll
to
share
put that in
that.
the show notes.
Yeah, so I'll share that downloadable little devotional. So I'm actually very proud of it, and I can't believe I haven't talked about it anywhere yet. It's been a lot of work. So anyways, honestly, what I will do if you listen to the podcast and you want to download it, I'll give you a free code for it. So we'll put that in the notes.
Okay.
Now I have to make sure it's accessible online.
Free code in the show notes.
Free code in the show notes for you.
All right. This has been like a little bit of a, I don't know. Just
Talk it out.
Working
We didn't walk it out. We talked it out.
Working through like life's questions and learning moments and stuff like that. And a lot of the stuff that we've talked about today, honestly, it's just been thoughts that we've kind of fleshed out on the podcast. And so it's been a little bit of a different one.
I feel like we've had a lot more pauses and a little bit of slow talk because some of these questions, and I had a lot more, like they're kind of hard, they're kind of hard. And I've pre-thought out questions and read them ahead of time, but still, it's still hard sometimes to just be vocal about it. So,
Yep. All right, guys.
this is More Than Reality podcast. And
Yep.
thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging on. And we love you.